So basically what we do is we have a show and tell format where we each take turns showing off our recent fungal finds from the greater New Jersey region. We get a queue going. So if you have stuff you want to share, if you type your name into the chat, I just call on people in the order that they've requested to go. I also have emails from people and I will just go through them in the order that people emailed me. I asked everyone, please share the time. There's 21 people here tonight, so we each take, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll eat up the time pretty quickly, so we want to make sure everyone gets a chance. And if someone could, or maybe a couple of people volunteer to help type the names into the chat as we're discussing things, it helps for everyone to see. So I see we have a couple of people volunteering, ready to go. Lauren, you're the first to volunteer. Would you like to go?
Hi, sure. I found these growing in the mulch in front of my house. They had a kind of a pale light brown spore print. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We're still in thrall. Wait, are the gills attached? Are they Stropharia?
We're just speechless looking at this thing.
I don't, these were taken a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember if they were attached.
Look at the
Like there's a partial tail there.
I say look at the annulus in that lower
Yeah.
one. It looks like the Rugoso annulata, is that what it's called? Is that them?
Probably some kind of a Stropharia, right?
Yeah, Stropharia, right?
Oh, that's cool. I didn't guess that.
Did you save them?
No.
If you see them again, can you save them for us, please?
Yes, I will do that.
I think it's going to be a good idea to sequence this collection.
Did you do a
Okay.
spore print on it? Did the spores drop dark?
I did do a spore print. It was a pale spore, pale meaning it was just light, but it was like a light brown, I would say.
Yeah. The Ruganulosa has a pretty dark spore print. The ones I've
There's no Rugo's ring here. These are, not in the mature specimens. So this is not Rugosa annulata. And the cap color is wrong.
Well, we do find yellowish ones.
Yeah, the Lutea.
Yeah, but these are brown. I mean, the caps remind me of like Boletus edgivus, the color.
I think maybe the annulus just fell away from that big one because that little one definitely had the heavy annulus covering.
Yeah. I
Well,
wonder if that's what that is right there on the left, if that's part of it.
I mean, usually it's persistent in Rugosa annulata. I don't think these are Rugosa annulata. I mean, it would be helpful for you to post them on INET or IMO even better. So maybe somebody's going to come up with a suggestion.
There are other species than Rugoso annulata and Stropharia.
Yeah, but
The right spore print color, though.
we don't have that many here in eastern USA. It's a fairly small genus, at least in this continent.
And it's the wrong color spore anyway for Stropharia, isn't it? Don't they usually have pretty dark spores?
Unless she just got a poor spore print. She was saying they were brown.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
they were brown, but not like a heavy, and not dark. I mean, you know what I mean, not super dark. Just it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Is this thing on the seen below the one on the left in the lower part of the stalk? Is that a ring that fell off?
We suspect that, yeah, because we could see an annulus in the in one of the young ones from underneath the gill shots.
Could you
How
please-
big were these? How big were the caps?
Can you zoom in?
A couple of inches. They were like kind of like bluet sized, you know, not too big, but pretty chunky.
Could you please zoom in on this picture? Make it
Sure.
bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
Bigger.
the ring. You can see the
Bigger.
ring on the one here in this
Yeah,
photo.
Let's see the ring.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
The ring already detached itself from the stem. It's just.
But you
clinging.
can see on the one on the right, the ring is the partial veil is intact.
Well, I'm just saying that the partial veil is detaching itself from the stem and it's clinging by the
Oh,
margins. Of the
yeah, it's
cap.
clinging to the margin. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I see
And-
what you're saying. Right.
And it's like it has a complicated structure. There are all these scales, you know, on the surface of the partial veil. So it's
Yeah.
pretty thick and heavy, I think.
Yeah, that's a rugoso annulata trait, but these certainly don't look like rugoso annulata. The color is wrong.
Yeah,
And the
please.
yellow ones are really yellow. And it's kind of the wrong time of the year for those too.
Yes. Lauren, please find them again and save them for us.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, put this on Mushroom Observer or send the pictures to someone who would put them on Mushroom Observer. This is a really interesting one.
Okay, oh, bummer. I wish I I wish I knew that before.
Always save the wrong ones too.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's a hardy eye.
That's, you know, that's why I was asking if the
Hardy Eye has a cap surface that looks different than this.
Okay.
It's kind of yellow and it looks kind of hairy, not hairy, but sort of textured.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but that doesn't really remind me of Hardy Eye. Although we're getting to the time of the year when that one starts coming out.
yeah, it's not a bad suggestion.
No, it's a good suggestion. No, I can't really, say that's not what this is.
How about some kind of an agaricus? Because it does have like a little pink tone.
Yeah, it could be in some kind of weird agaricus. The cap really looks wrong for agaricus, though.
Yeah, that's why I was curious if the gills are attached
Right.
to rule that out. But we can't
right.
really see. We don't really have a good picture of that, so we don't know.
Here is the link to Kuro's Stropharia hardy eye, so you can take a look at what he says about this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay.
Go water that spot. Go dump your water bottle on there.
Oh, trust me, my yard gets plenty of water all the time. It just rains here nonstop. Okay, how do I?
Nice.
All right, so what else you got there, Lauren?
Okay, if I could figure out. Hey, Mike, how do I unzoom this?
You have to close this.
How do I?
There's an X.
How do I do that?
You can hit.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Working on it.
So Lauren, that was the first time you saw that come up in your mulch?
Yeah.
Where did the
Okay.
mulch come from?
What?
Where did the mulch come from?
The cheapest place in New Jersey.
Well, you have to retrace that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we had a company bring us that mulch, and I don't know where they got it from. Okay, so I was in Asheville, North Carolina last week, and I saw this on a fence post, and it immediately reminded me of Metalloides fragrans. It was much redder on top when I first picked it, and then I had it in a hot car for hours, and it lost some of its color, and now it looks pinker, but I have the top and bottom. And what was fascinating to me about this was it had a really strong smell, but unlike the cinnamon smell of the Metalloides fragrans, this smelled very strong like chocolate and like a mildewy sock. And then after a few hours, the mildewy stalk went away and all I smelled was chocolate.
What do the pores look like?
It was really cool. They were pink. They were like a
Oh.
pinkish.
I think I know what that is. It's,
What is that?
trying to think of the name of that thing.
And actually, Marisol told me to send this to you, Luke, but I just figured I'd wait till tonight.
I got to think about it.
Okay.
I think.
I'll send-
I mean, the pore surface looks distinct to me for this one thing that grows down south that we occasionally see up here. I got to think about it. It'll take me like 5 minutes.
I'll email you these photos just to remind you. But the smell was so strong. It was really cool. And like I said, it was on a fence post, so I don't know what kind of wood it was. Okay. Oh, is this Dryad Saddle?
Yeah.
Or is
Yes.
there something else that looks like this too, though? With like the black stipe?
Polypore is various, but it's smaller.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So there's nothing that's large like this.
I don't think so.
This was in North Carolina also. A friend sent it to me and I thought it was old dryads. I just wasn't sure. And I wasn't sure if there was something like the Royal Porous Badius, or what did you say? Now it's polyporous?
Used to be polyporous, now it's something else maybe.
Okay.
Could be
All right.
royal porous, could be, I forget.
That did not look that old to me.
Really? Isn't that very old? For Dryad Saddle?
It's a little on its older side, but both can stay out there and dry hard. And that one did not look like it was that far along. Anyway,
Say something.
Was this
I think
growing
I think the
around?
genus is now Cereoporus.
Well, I typed in Microporous Phenosis for this thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going back and forth. I'm trying to do some other stuff too.
Was
Thanks.
this growing on the ground or on?
This was on a stump.
Okay, stump it is. Okay.
Okay, so I have some exciting Lexinum or boletes or something for you too that I found today. And this is my last bunch. So this was just to show how many there were. There were probably 11 of these under oak.
is this also in North Carolina?
Nope, this is in Hunterdon County, New Jersey.
Yeah, this is what we formerly called Lactinellum, except that Lactinellum is polyphyletic. And there are many lineages in there, so it's useless to call it Lactinellum. But this is now Lexinum because of course paper. Lexinum rugosiceps, I think. Could be something else.
Okay,
I'm going to type in the name.
it bruised red and I have a picture of it.
Yeah, they do.
There it is, there's the red.
There you go.
Is that what rugo is for, red?
No, rugo is rugose, wrinkly.
Oh,
Rugose or rugulos. Pivot, wrinkled cap, surface.
so these are now Lexinum.
Well, yeah, I'm not happy about that taxonomy, how it worked out, but we now it's the officially it's Lexinum, yes.
Okay. Are these edible? Because
Yes.
they seemed like they would be. I did not eat them. I'm not going to eat them actually, and they're really super buggy too. But
Yeah,
that's
fine.
interesting.
They're fine.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm done. Thank you, everybody.
That polypore that you were looking at, the name I
Yeah.
was thinking of was Microporous Phenosis. Although they look a little darker, but the pores, that's what the pores look like.
Oh, would you mind typing that in for me?
I
Yeah.
was working on that one, look. Yeah.
It's hard to remember. It's hard to remember that name because we,
Same one, Venosus. Yeah.
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 That's a hard name to remember because we like never ever see it up here.
Microporous Phenosus. Okay, you got it.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. Thanks.
Maybe yours look lighter than that, but Microporous has those. I mean, has those like dark pores to them. So, and they're common down south. All right, cool. Thanks, Lauren.
You're welcome.
All right, Marius, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sorry, guys, I'm a newbie, first timer,
Welcome.
and also new to the this particular part of natural science. I actually have just one observation. Actually, I saw some coming up about a month ago, very slow growers. Let me try and share my screen here quickly. You guys may recognize it. Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay, so let me see if I can zoom in a bit. It looks like a polyspore. It grows in the soil. There used to be old oak that stood there that was chopped down, I would say 3 years ago, and there's a dense root mat. And it's very sandy soil. The stem is, the whole mushroom is very hard, very woody. Actually, I only saw it today. Well, I saw it coming up, but I saw it start capping. So I pulled a couple of examples. Let me see if I can share a cut through of a smaller one. It's just as it pops out of the soil, very hard. And let me see if I can, I'm trying to forward this. It's a closer shot. There's the environment where it grows, as you can see there. It's a couple of grass and sand. That's the one. There's a longer one that I found and cut through. And it's the surface area. I'm stuck here, people. Sorry. Let me just. I'm trying to. I'm not a good zoom user. Where is this? There's the cut through. You can see it's really woody. You can also see the pores. It looks like this one is immature, so I don't think I'm going to get a spore print of it. There is a more mature one. Let me see if I can get to that one. It's just close-up shots. Sorry, it's out of focus. This is the, I think this is the most mature one I saw there. I don't want to pick it because otherwise, or maybe I can leave the other ones and pick this one. But I think this one will be mature. It's very glossy on top, like a reishi. The stem is also glossy like a reishi. So I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I think Marisol got it already. I would agree with that too. They're really young Ganoderma curticii. Just like little buttons.
Yeah, they took forever to grow. It's literally over a month now that they pushing through and not capping. And they very mushroomy smell, a wonderful deep mushroom smell. Sorry, that you mentioned, what's the name?
Ganoderma curticii. So Marisol typed it into the chat box.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'll go find it. Thanks, that's all.
Yep, thank you for sharing. Okay.
A friend of mine has been watching a similar collection for about a month. So very similar, started as just some tiny little white blobs, and eventually it got big enough that I was able to identify it as curticii as well. They must be coming up in August.
Did you get a spore print of it? What color was the spore?
No, I don't think he has picked any. I'll ask him, but I don't think he has.
They'll be like a brown color, kind of a. I guess kind of like a rusty brown color is how you would describe it. Kind of there's definitely a red tint to it.
Okay.
I think that fruit body will need to get a lot more mature.
Yeah.
If in fact it does. That one seems kind of funny. How old was that oldest one?
This one that sits here, I would say it's been sitting there for at least a week. And it's actually only after all these rains.
That's not that long for a Ganoderma.
No.
Let it go for a while. Let it go for a month.
Yeah, this one has been sitting there actually for weeks. This is now just for a week that the cap is starting pushing out.
Okay, that's kind of funny then. it wouldn't be a little more expanded and starting to develop a little color on the cap. I wonder if maybe the excessive rainfall
Yeah.
has had something to do with it just not developing normally.
Yeah. I will keep my eyes on it.
Yeah.
But
All right,
yeah.
cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Marius.
All right.
That was it, right? You said you just had one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Those grow from probably from buried old roots from that oak tree that came down. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually found that the bottom of the mushroom was entwined in dead as well as live hair-like roots. There was a dense mat of roots in that soil, old roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely attached to like the roots.
Okay, so we have a reishi, hopefully.
So Nina, you are up.
Oh, yes.
No, you.
Oh, yeah, no, I just unmoved. Okay, yeah.
Nina, you and John made out okay with the flooding? It was bad down your way.
Oh, it was okay. Yeah, we live on a hill.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we'll be an island when everything floods. Anyway, yeah, I found these two slime molds in Franklin Park in the bog, fen, and they're growing on moss. And I'm not too good with slime molds, so yeah, maybe if Virginia, I figured if Virginia was around.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this stage till they get a little more mature. They could be fuligos. Fuligos are usually yellow, although I don't know about all the species. And you had a suggestion as mucilago. It could be that, but you know, if you took a piece of it when it was mature and put it under a microscope, if it were mucilago, you would see the lime on it would be crystalline, like star-like. Whereas if it were fuligo, that would not be the case. It would be just granular. They could be a fuligo, you know, when they were more mature. It's hard to tell what things are when they're not mature.
Yeah, this was in a very flooded area, and it was growing on top of the sphagnum moss. And I knew that if I did anything, it would just fall apart because it was really, really wet.
Right, because it's not mature.
Right.
I mean, it's still forming up, is what it's doing.
Huh.
So, and then now that looks like fuligo.
That's what I figured. A fuligo, maybe candida.
Definitely looks like a fuligo.
That had kind of interesting spores. They were kind of spiky, round, about 10.
Kind of what? I can't quite hear.
The spores were real spiky.
Spiky.
Yeah, sort of like a rolled up hedgehog.
Oh.
And the stupid spores got all over the place, and they got onto my another thing I was doing, and then I put melts on that, and these things turned red.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't use
okay.
those for slime molds. Fuligo cinerea has quite large spores, round and tiny spikes on them.
Yeah, these were about 10.
Yeah, Fuligo cinerea has at least 11, 12 and larger microns. There's other fuligos, the Fuligo septica, but they're small. They're like 6 or 7 microns. So it wouldn't be that if they are.
There's a candida. Could it be that?
Could it be what?
Candida.
Candida. Well, Candida is a variety of septica.
Oh, okay,
It'd be the same thing.
all right.
Considered the same thing, yeah. Mucilago, oh, well, that's not mucilago, I don't think. As large spores, 12 microns and bigger, but the line is what I call crystalline, it's star-like. And the capillicium is different. So I like to see spores under the microscope and get measurements and see what they look like before I say for sure what something is.
Oh, okay,
So, I mean, that does look like Fuligo, one of them.
right.
Was that the same thing as,
No, two different, they were two different. The first two were the same, and then the last one was the Fuligo.
the different one? Yeah, okay. I would say Fuligo species.
Yeah. Okay.
The first two, it's hard to say unless it developed a little bit more.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Nina. All right, Susan.
Right, I've seen lots and lots of mushrooms, but I only picked out 5 today. This was yesterday, this first one. I haven't seen this in years. Oh, I don't remember what kind of tree, probably a beech. But there were hundreds and hundreds of them. And they're no bigger than the end of your fingernail. Coprinellus disseminatus, cute little things. And they were just at the, I'm sure if I went back today, they'd be all gone. There's not much to them. Yes, thank you, Igor. I'm not good with spelling. And like I said, I have not seen these for a long time, but they're hard to mistake because of their little shape and their little pinwheel gills and the dark spore print. And the fact that there's hundreds and hundreds of them all in once at the bottom of a tree stump. Okay, the next thing was, I don't know if you find this much down your way, but I've seen a lot of this year. Humidicutous Marginata. This is the very bright yellow form, concolor we used to call it, variety. We used to call it Hygrophorus Marginata, variety concolor, I think. Yeah, concolor. Anyway, it's a beautiful Hygrophorus, about 2 inches across, yellow all over. This, I was over the weekend down at Lake Pasico, which is in the southern Adirondacks, with the Mid-York mushroom group. One of their members has a cabin down there, and he's got a great trail for hunting mushrooms, so they invite folks down. And this as well as a lot of other things. Pretty mushroom. I don't know, we didn't see this very often in New Jersey, as I remember.
We see it.
Did you get that in hardwoods?
In this case, yes, it would have been a lot of beech, probably some oak. I do see a little.
That's where I usually find it. Beech,
hemlock
birch,
down
stuff like that. Yeah. I
But we
found
have
some
it-
2 weeks ago.
We have it.
I think I just put it on
too.
Mushroom Observer.
We have it up here where I am, which is mostly conifer also. And like I said,
Oh, you find this this variety concolor in conifer?
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, I find it in a number of places this year, particularly.
Huh.
It was plentiful and beautiful.
There's a conifer pod lying there on the soil next to it.
Yeah, I see the little hemlock cone up in the upper
Mhm.
left-hand corner.
Susan, I found this last Saturday, the concolor and the marginatum, and about 4 or 5 other hygrophorus in the Pine Barrens.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Okay, so you're getting a flush of them now.
Right.
Yeah, most of my hygrophorus flushed about the first week of July or second week of July. I mean, there were hundreds of all kinds of species. I don't even try and identify them, mostly because they're all kind of red on top and yellow underneath with red stems, pretty much, red to orange. Beautiful things, but too many species that look very similar. Anyway, the next thing is my favorite group, of course, which has spines underneath for the spore-bearing surface. This was also down at Lake Pasico, but this is another thing that I've seen a lot of this year in some variation or the other. I've been calling it Hydenellum Concrescence. It has kind of a stop-start way of growing, which tends to end up making kind of concentric circles from the center of the cap. And this is a little tough and leathery, and they can be there growing not just quickly like most fleshy mushrooms, but sometimes take 2, 3 to 4 weeks to grow. I was down there about 3 weeks ago, and these were not in the same place. So they've grown within the 3 weeks. This, by the way, is a good dyer for a tealy blue-green color when you add ammonia to the dye bath. So needless to say, I picked just about all of them. Yeah, cool mushroom group. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but we found a log down at Lake Pasico that was kind of covered with these. The Hyphaloma Lateritium. We used to call this Hyphaloma sublateritium, but it seems to be one of those that somebody condensed the name. I'm not sure why. This is
it got a promotion.
It got a promotion. This is supposed to be a good edible, but when it's good enough to eat is when the young ones are there, do not show any of the spore color. And the only way I can confirm it is if you've got ones that have that purple-black spore color or spore print color of purple-black. So I have not tried this for myself, but brick tops, right? Is this the real brick top?
Yeah, I think that's what they call them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I've eaten them a few times. They're pretty decent.
But you're sure of what they are before they make the spore color, or you have a collection like this that has mixed
Mixed in there.
Mixed young and old, yeah.
You know, I used to be a little more free about eating them, and then I don't know, like in the more recent years, I've gotten a little more conservative about it because I'm just sometimes not as sure as I used to be.
Yeah. Well, we have, I think, 2 or 3 species that are closely related, and I have trouble telling them apart sometimes.
Is this on hardwood, Susan?
You know, I don't remember. I think the log was so well rotted that it would be hard to tell, except in that spot. I would have said it was probably a conifer log, but.
Yeah, because the somewhat similar Hyphaloma capnoides is more apt to fruit on conifer, but the color is usually a little different.
It's more yellow, right?
Yeah, for the most part, but I'm not sure that is always true. There seems to be a, you know, I've made collections of each kind, and sometimes they seem to, you know, be hard to distinguish from one another.
So the capnoides, I've thought I had that, but I wasn't sure. And then, well, so the thing with this is this one I see kind of a lot every fall, and this is kind of early to be seeing this, I thought.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it down here yet, but this does look like Lateritium to me.
Yeah.
Also, the capnoides tends to have a thinner stalk. This one right in the middle of the picture is the stalk is kind of thick, at least in my experience. I don't know if that's, you know, if that's across the board.
Well, the fact that they had this kind of reddish orange disc in the center.
Yeah, yeah.
Made me think of the bricktop Hyphaloma Lateritium.
As Dave jokingly said, it's been promoted from sub to Lateritium. Does anybody know what the next promotion is going to be called?
Probably a different genus, right?
No, the name.
No. What do you think?
Ultra Lateritium. I checked already with Latin. Ultra, ULTA.
Fairly common mushroom up here, and it looks like all over the Adirondacks because this was at Lake Pasico. Okay, now the next thing I have, the last little thing, This is something I have never seen before. I did not even collect this. Some woman who's not a serious mushroomer, but she is sort of for edibles, she put this on the table out of her basket, and I thought, what the hell is this? And because it's so distinctively a little gelatinous cup, I poked around in Alan and Arlene's and Michael Bugh's Ascomycete book, and they have a picture of something like this. So I've called it Neobulgaria pura. The only thing is that I'm assuming these are a little bit immature because their description describes them as about a ½ inch or a centimeter big when I guess they're mature. But these were only about 1/4 inch across. But I only have that tiny little, this little cluster was only like this big. But I took it home with me because I'd never seen anything like that before.
What's the substrate?
I don't know. This woman would not be able to tell me, even if in fact, I'm pretty sure I probably did ask her. On wood is about all I can say. Like I said, I did not collect this, but as soon as I saw it on the table, I thought, whoa, what is that? So anyway, I don't know if any of you have ever seen anything like this, because I sure as hell haven't.
No, I haven't.
Nope. It says here on the link that that's a species that grows exclusively on broadleaf hardwoods, hardwood trees, and in particular beech.
Yeah, this woods was full of beech.
So there you go.
Yeah, I did read that, come to think of it.
Susan, what's the name?
Wait a minute.
Neobulgaria pura.
Okay.
They definitely have a look like the Galliella rufa,
Right.
which are now also called Bulgaria rufa.
But these were only about 1/4 inch big, about the end of my finger.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
They have that distinct disc like an ascomycete. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, thank you, Igor, for putting the name in.
They never expand?
Well, they might, but we were collecting for a foray. Woman just plopped these on the table, and the whole little cluster is only about 1 inch across.
Or maybe being in cluster is what it makes it a little different too.
Well, the fact, yeah, but also they're immature would be my guess.
Yeah, but
They're not matching, but they are very distinctive in this pinkish color, and they are like the Bulgaria rufa in that they are squidgy, gelatinous, like gumdrops, sort of. They're really cool though. So that's all I had. That was the most interesting thing this whole week.
Awesome. Thanks, Susan.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Lila, you are up.
Okay.
Let's pick 5 of these, okay?
Yeah, just go with the top 5 there.
Okay.
So, because there's a lot of people. So I don't know what this is. I think it's some sort of an amanita because of the vulvus, the sac, sac-like vulva. Before I dug it up, you couldn't really see anything.
Section amygdala. That's all we can say at this time.
Okay. I don't think I showed you this one before, did I?
No.
Yeah. Like a hollow stipe, is that typical?
Yep.
Okay.
Stuffed. It's a central cylinder stuffed with this cottony material.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that pink, dusty look to it.
And it's staining pink as well, I think, when you cut it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's one of the smallest sections in the Manita and the most mysterious one.
Okay, yeah, that was here in the backyard.
Did you save this?
Sadly, no. I'm gonna have to start saving everything.
Well, please do next time. Put it on the list.
Lila.
Add Lila, yeah. Okay. All right.
Now we know.
All right, these next ones are from my vacation a couple of weeks ago up in Maine. So nothing terribly interesting, but just fun to look at. So the Lactarius Ligniotis. I just like finding this one. It's kind of fun. It's always surprising to turn it over and see those bright white gills, and then
Yeah.
latex.
Check the margins of the gills. If the margins of the gills are dark or not dark, it makes a difference on what variety it would be called. There's a few of them.
Okay, and that was a comparison. The people we were staying with, it's like, hey, that looks like some of these chocolates that you have.
Not really.
She insisted on the
A
picture.
Hershey Kiss.
Like the chocolate milky, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So,
Sometimes the milk will also go kind of reddish, or it bruises the gills reddish. That's another variety, I think.
okay.
Hey, did we say a couple weeks ago this is a group?
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's a
think so.
complex. Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
several species, but you're close enough with the Ligniotis to be.
But the European Ligniotis is the one associated with conifers, and we see the true one only in northern New Jersey, associated, with the hemlock, conifer, oak, beech woods, or birch woods, I should say, in counties like Warren, Sussex, and Passaic. But it doesn't occur in the hardwood forests below that, south of that. So it's possible that we have the same thing, that they have in Europe, but it's most likely a species complex. And that's why people create so many varieties, but nobody knows if they're the same by DNA or not. Yeah, it's a pretty one.
Yeah.
Milo, you said this was in Maine though, yes?
Yeah, it was in Maine. Yeah, in a mixed hardwood and coniferous forest, both. Definitely birch and hemlock there.
Kind of vacation pictures right now.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, Laccaria ochra purpurea. So it looks very blasé from the top, although the stipe caught my attention. That looked very interesting. With all those sort of rough scales on it, but from the top it's rather bland. But turn it over, nice purple gills.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful underneath.
No mistaking what that is.
Yeah.
As soon as you see that.
Yeah, it's a sapro that grows with both conifers and hardwoods. Not with them, but in.
You eat them, Lila?
Yeah.
Say again?
Did you eat them?
Did I eat it? No, I didn't eat it because at the time I think it's the first time maybe I found it. I didn't know what it was. So yeah. Yeah. So it was a nice surprise.
Igor, are you sure that's a sapro? But most of the Laccaria are considered to be mycorrhizal.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's some of each type. There might be.
well, then it's very mycorrhizally promiscuous because didn't we see
Yes.
that with
Yes.
Norway spruce somewhere with you a week ago, and I also find them in deciduous woods with no conifers around.
Yeah, I do find these at least some of the ones I find are in the same places year after year after year for quite a few years.
All right, so you guys eat that then, huh?
Yeah, I occasionally.
The cap is all right. I would not eat the stalk. It's very fibrous.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't taste like a whole lot, but it has good texture.
It's often in very sandy soil, so it's too much trouble to clean.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it looks like there's a few grains of sand on that one.
Yeah, I'll find it here. I'll find it here in Bucks County where the soil's not sandy. So they're worth collecting if you're like just have a mix. If you're just eating mixed mushrooms, I will throw them in there. They fill up help fill the pan up.
Okay.
I found it on Ballpate in Mercer County.
Very nice one.
Thank you.
Yes, Dave, I take it back. It is mycorrhizal. Quo says so on that page that I just posted here. Here we go.
I don't know if this ID is correct or not.
Let's see the bulb.
I think I have pictures, good pictures of it.
I think it's.
I think it's Solaniolens.
It was
Mm,
fairly small. It's not a big mushroom.
Yeah, I think it's Solaniolens.
Solaniolens has this cap that, as I call this sunburst pattern.
Yeah, sometimes more so than other times. Cap, the appearance on the top of the cap is somewhat variable for Solaniolens,
You
but it
know,
has the bulb like this. And the bulb is really variable. Sometimes it looks like a brunescens bulb, and sometimes it has sort of the elongated margin.
yes,
This look,
but Solaniolens has a yellow ring. This has no.
yeah, usually. This is small for Porphyria though.
Well, they could be small. I cannot, I would not eliminate that from a possibility.
No, I guess not. Porphyria also usually has, the ring is usually, the margin of the ring is gray usually. Is this one? If the margin of the ring is gray, then I'd say that really does point towards Porphyria.
Porphyria. I'm gonna look it up. Let's see. Margin of what is gray? He said.
The ring, the annulus is usually. I mean, in my memory, when I find it, that's what I seem to remember. Are you looking it up though? Good. Okay.
Rod Tallis says here the ring is membranous, thin, skirt-like, finally collapsing on the stem, whitish or pale gray at first, rapidly becoming violaceous gray overall, and violaceous brownish near the edge.
Okay, so it's maybe not gray near the edge, but it's darker near the edge. But the ring gets kind of gray. In fact, I think the common name is gray veil amanita, if I'm not misremembering here.
I'm looking where I'm looking up Rod's vouchers for Porphyria, and it's found in California, Oregon, Washington, and also New Hampshire. So it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's one of the few mycorrhizal amanitas that's found on the West Coast and in the East. I find it here. Now, it's not real common, but I find it. Usually late, usually September, October.
And Solaniolens, let's see if Rod has anything from. Yeah, it's in Canada and New York and Tennessee and West Virginia. But it's tricky and supposed to have a yellowish ring. That's the only thing that throws me off.
Yeah, I'm the ones that I've called Solaniolens over the years. Sometimes they don't have a yellow ring. Solaniolens is probably a complex, really. I think.
Well, Rod says it's the same thing. It's found from Canada all the way into Colombia.
Oh, you know what? We went through this a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because of the morphological variability.
Right, and
it was thought for a while that this was a complex, but they seem to all provide the same sequence.
Yeah, but it's ITS. You cannot trust ITS. You have to do other loci.
Oh, okay.
If it's a species complex, it's possible they have identical ITS sequences.
Yeah. I mean, the thin stalk, it's not very big, Lila, right? What is this one? Maybe about 3 or 4 inches tall, something like that?
Yeah, it's pretty tiny. It's pretty small.
Yeah. Porphyria is a pretty substantial mushroom generally.
All right. What is the other one that you've been?
I'm tapping it in.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, I think it was 1.5 inches, maybe the cap across, if that.
That's the typical Solaniolens cap size.
Okay.
But that one's a little bit interesting. You know, it's not a slam dunk.
Okay. Leosha Viscosta. These were pretty, normally I just see the, those other ones that are usually all orange, but these were quite a vibrant blue-green, the caps on these.
Yeah, nice photo in situ. Looks good. Yeah, that's what I'd call them.
Very gelatinous. I tried to, tear one apart to take a picture of it, and I really couldn't. Just...
These are really cool looking mushrooms, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I was really happy to see those.
Look at those colors.
Yeah, they are a cool mushroom. I've seen them up here recently too. As well as tons of the Leosha lubrica, the one that is all yellowy orange, the other southern Adirondacks.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that other kind, but only this one collection of this type. So it was fun.
Here, look at this last one.
Yeah, I put this
We're talking
one
about this.
in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just because of the talk Wednesday night with Rachel Sweeney. So I think this is a Hydenellum that she was one of the ones she was talking about. Is it umbilicatum?
Yeah, it's got the little belly button. I would agree. Also looks the right size for the smoke. The way the cap sort of, even when it's full grown, it sort of is this with the long spines.
Right.
Yeah, the long spines. The umbilicatum has spines that are very long in comparison to the rest of the width of the cap.
Yeah, definitely out of proportion compared to a lot of the other spiny tooth things you see.
This one's probably kind of young because it hasn't really developed the very deep central depression. But I still think you're right. Was this in conifer area?
I believe so, and in the mossy area there in this.
And you got a little spider hiding right in there too.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys got rid of the spines on this, you wouldn't have much mushroom to eat.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Did you eat
Yeah,
these?
well, when I say I scrape the spines off, usually not on these little guys. It's like it's too much work and there's not much left. But there's this great big beige, whitish Hydenellum that I find in beach litter sometimes. And I think it's actually mycorrhizal actually, because I find it in the same place, same couple of places all the time. And that one, the spines all fall off and it's really not a very nice mouthfeel if, if you prepare something without taking the spines off. So in that one particular kind, I always do that.
I think all Hydenellums are mycorrhizal, Dave.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Rachel
Yeah.
said that the other night.
Oh, okay. Right, because these ones that I find they seem to be mycorrhizal, at least sometimes with beech.
Well, they're related to chanterelle, so that makes sense that they would be.
Right. Yeah, they're in that same family. Right. The Cantharellus I guess is close to how you say it.
Cantharelliaceae? I don't know. We need Dorothy or somebody.
Cantharelliaceae. Yeah, Dorothy knows how to say these things, right? Yeah. I'm just guessing.
Cool. Thanks, Lila.
Thank you.
Okay, Virginia.
Here. Oh, it could be.
All right. So this is.
Oh, it's not showing up. I just put it on there this afternoon. It was a fungus. Well, never mind. I don't know what happened to it. I just added it this afternoon.
Is it
the one on the left?
that one?
That one, yeah. Okay, I have no idea what this is. This was a moist chamber culture that I made back in March. It was from litter underneath hosta species in our around our house. And I just thought it looked kind of pretty. So I made some photos of it and put it on.
That's really cool.
It's pardon?
That's really a cool picture.
Yeah, I liked it. I put it on the stage of the compound microscope with a lamp shining on it rather than from underneath. So that's how I got that picture. And this is when I made a mount of it on a slide. Spores.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. And some of them were branched, some were single, and that one happened to be branched with a lot of heads on it. Kind of got messed up when I collected it because they were kind of fragile. And that's the spores under oil. They're about 30 micrometers long. With sort of a little attachment on one end. And that was a single one with the spores all around the head. So I put it on iNaturalist, but I have, without any idea what it is.
It must be an anamorph, right?
Yeah, I think so. It would have to be.
Not a clue, though.
I don't know fungi very well, but sometimes when I do these moist cultures, I do get various fungi. I don't save them mostly, but this one's kind of pretty.
I've got a fairly wild guess here. Microstoma. I mean, I don't have a species name, but it reminds me a little bit of microstoma.
I'll look it up later.
Are they ascus? Do you know if they're
not?
I'm sorry, ascos?
I did not see any, no SI.
Oh, okay. So that they might not be then.
No, it's.
Oh, okay. Well, then microstoma would be wrong. Okay.
I was thinking because of the way the spores are forming like that they must be anamorphs, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're clusters of conidia. Is that like conidia there?
Right.
Yeah, they just form in clusters like that.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So there it is.
That's one you have to put on Facebook on the right page and just hope somebody sees it.
I don't do Facebook.
All right, cool. Well, interesting observation, Virginia. Thank you.
Virginia, I wrote the name of somebody who may know it in iNaturalist.
Okay.
Jonathan Mac M. He helps me with a lot of tiny stuff. I wrote it on the chat.
Okay, I'll look.
Just call him and he will help you.
Okay, so if you know how to do that, Virginia, you could tag him in there.
Oh, I could do that. Yeah. On iNaturalist.
Yeah, on iNatural, so you can tag him in the comments and he'll get a notification that you're.
What's the name of that symbol that is the letter A with the
ampersand?
Okay, you write that and then the name of the person and he will give you the choices and you just send a message there. Then he will see you post.
Jonathan Mac?
Mac M.
Mac M, okay.
Yeah. He may have a shorter nickname for iNaturalist, but that's his real name, right? All right.
Thanks.
Yes.
I can't log in here, or else I would just tag him. But I was going to try to tag him, but can't log in there. Okay, Audrey.
Hi.
Hello.
So I keep finding these. I shared them last time I shared mushrooms. More of the green spored parasols, the chlorophyllum mollibites. And I thought this was really cool because this time this is in the same space as I saw a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. It didn't make a full ring, but it made like a line. And there was a whole flush of the same kind of mushroom. And now 3 weeks later, in a slightly different space, but within the same like it's an island within a parking lot. So it's like overlapping the same space entirely, but it's making a different shape this time, 3 weeks later. So I'm kind of curious if it's the actual same individual or like the same mushroom or you know, fungus, or if it's like a different individual. And then I just thought it was really cool how you could see that first photo was from yesterday, and then the other photos are from today. So you can see the cap splitting up apart.
Can you show the previous photo? Oh, no, no. That one. Is it that the lens is wet or? Yeah,
Yeah,
wet. Yes,
the lens was fogged up. Yeah, so
I thought it was sporulating, but it's not. It's wet. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I often wonder that too, whether I'm looking at the same individual organism or not, but there's, I guess without doing DNA, how can you
It
tell?
likes the weather.
Sorry?
It likes the weather. It probably is the same underground series of mycelium. It likes the weather and where it's growing. I would bet on that.
So you think the same mycelium
Yeah.
network created two flushes this year?
You know, we used to be able to go for years and years and not see these. And then when you get lots of rain and probably very warm weather, these things would be everywhere. This used to be the most common thing that poison control would get for calls in the middle of the summer or now in August. Because when they came up, everybody thought they were the regular parasol mushroom.
Mm.
They weren't.
I would guess the same organism is producing all these mushrooms because this is a saprobe. And in fact, I believe that a typical growth habit associated with this mushroom is fairy rings, which means that the fungus sort of expands and seeks out nutrients in its habitat. So it's just expanding on your lawn. And as it does so, it's forming new flushes.
Okay.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I wish I had marked out where the previous flush was exactly, because it seems like it's sort of overlapping in a way, but not entirely.
You know, and I see these in northern Burlington County, and as a substrate gets depleted, you can see it year after year, but we've had probably 2 or 3 flushes of this. I live out in horse farm country, and they've been really prolific this year.
Yeah, I did some research about it, and it sounded like it sort of was more common further south previously, and in like ranching type areas, places where there were lots of, you know, cows, horses, things grazing. So I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mushroom.
It really is stunning.
I have all these people that call me
story.
And I go, I know exactly what that is. I've looked at it about 60 times.
I can tell you a little story about this. If any of you have the older version of Roger Phillips' book, he had expected to photograph this down at the Gulf State Foray, which is, let's say, 1989, maybe. I don't remember what year it was. But it happened to fruit in my hometown in Oldwick, in a horse pasture area, like in a circle, big circle. So he thought, well, let me photograph it here and have it out of the way so that I don't have to photograph it in Mississippi. And as it turned out, he did photograph it, and the picture in the book is from Oldwick, New Jersey, because when he got to Mississippi, it was dry as bones. Any mushrooms there. And he was really glad that he had a good, and if you look in his older version, this takes up the whole page. But Oldwick, New Jersey on Homestead Road.
May I say something? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that the fairy rings keep getting bigger. So you won't have, every time will be like a wider ring. You know what I'm trying to say? Because somehow the mycelium at the center dies. So it keeps growing outwards.
That's what a fairy ring is. It has to look for the food on the outer circumference of the circle. So that's why this fairy ring gets bigger each year.
Yeah, it's mycelium growing from a central point outward, radiating a circle.
Which might have been a single spore years and years ago.
Wow.
So anybody, if you're on Facebook, anybody, if you look up Jacob Polk, if you stalk him on Facebook, or if you're friends with him, he's a good guy to follow for mushroom stuff. He just posts a couple pictures of these huge fairy rings of these things down like in Tennessee somewhere that are pretty impressive looking. I put his name in the chat.
Yeah, I'll definitely look that up. Thanks.
They get like dinner plate size.
Yeah.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's worth following on Facebook if you want to see mushrooms.
Okay, great.
I
Thank you.
found this species for the first time in over 40 years in Northeast PA this year. I'd never seen it before. I'd only seen it in big forays. I saw it at Fungus Festival a couple of times. Never saw it up here until this year.
See, that seems fascinating to me. I want to know why it's like, yeah, what that's about. And
A
why
lot of
it
rain
seems
and
so-
really hot.
Yeah.
And it might be expanding its range
It
because
likes
of
the weather.
the different kind of weather we're having here now.
Mm,
Warm and wet.
yes, that's for sure.
Well, thank you, Audrey.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, Marcel.
Hey. Okay. So on Sunday, because of the weather and our foray was canceled, and it wasn't really raining here, so I had to go somewhere. I went to Franklin Parker to look for the blue entoloma, but I couldn't find it. But I found a few interesting things. So I found this solitary mushroom growing on a white Atlantic, what's the name? Cedar?
Either.
Yeah. And the cap has scales, very small scales. And when I turn it, yeah, photo is not so great, but you can still see the scales. And the spores are dark. And it had a little caterpillar there, so I only took a little piece of the cap, and I left the rest in there. But it was enough to do the micro, and I saved it. I dried it and I saved it. So the spores are kind of dark, and that's the range of measurement from 4.4 to 7.4 and 6.1 to 8.6. Some of them look like with granulate contents, and some of them have one big drop. Right.
Are they warty? It looks like they might be a little warty.
I'm not sure 100%. Can you show the other photo?
So Marisol, you said the spores are dark, not white?
Yeah, look at this is in water.
Yeah, Trichoglosum has whites. All the Trichoglosum species have white spores.
Oh, I don't put that name. I naturally suggested, but
What? This is probably a Gymnopolis then, if it has darker spores.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh, okay, but yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I didn't recognize it. Okay, and the amazing thing when I did the microscopy is that I found out that the scales on the cap are made out of these structures. I was in awe. So what sticks out of the cap is the golden brown part. And it's several of them making the scale. You know what I'm trying to say? Several of them come together and make one scale. And underneath, so inside the cap, you see the other brown structure. So there are like 3 or 4 right here in this photo with the darker tips as what is outside the cap. I was fascinated by that. I never saw something like that. That's the edge of the gill, and cystidia have different forms, and I pointed to few. One has like a nipple, one is all like twisted to one side, and the other one is like flattened in the sides. All the other ones are more regular, like capitate, if I can call it that name. Okay. More of that cystidia. it seems to have like a very long base, and it has also a clamp connection, as you can see on the lower right. More of that. Oh, this is the brown cystidia already, I'm sorry, also have these clamp connections. I'm pointing with the white arrow. And on the top of that is the brown golden tip to make the scale will be on the top. There are different kinds of clamps. Oh, and here is one of the scales. I mean, my macro came all messed up. The elements are all mixed. But still, you can see that on the right, there are 3 or 4 of these setae, or I don't know what name to call it, to make up one scale. That's 100x. It's part of the cap. Here, there is some basidia, cystidia, and the spores. Oh my gosh, this doesn't belong in there. I think that I messed up. This is entoloma. I put the wrong photo. This is entoloma, forgive me. Yeah, the color doesn't even look right. Yeah. Okay, I gotta take the last photo off from there. Yeah. So anybody, oh, you think that is Gymnopus?
No, Gymnopolis, if the spores are brown. Gymnopolis.
It does have that look for me.
Gymnopilus.
Gymnopilus. Okay, Gymnopilus.
But this is a strange one. Look at these gills. These thick-edged gills. That's kind of interesting. Fork. Yeah.
By a slug, folks.
And the color was really, the real color on the top wasn't like orangey or anything like that. Was
I see what you're saying, Susan. The gills look thick-edged because the slug ate the edges.
That's right. Down in the lower right.
So that is kind of strange looking, but that's a pretty good explanation.
No, but the gills were very thick. The gills were very thick, and you can see that they have these forks.
They have forks out at the edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the middle too. You can see in the middle.
Still kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Slug or no slug?
This is not a slug. Slug.
It's a caterpillar.
Well, this might be a secondary person, but yeah, I don't know what that worm is.
Oh, the thing that's there is not a slug, but I think that thing took over after the slug left.
Yeah.
No slug. That's like a pine of conifer.
Yeah, that's not a slug, but looks like there may have been a slug there before.
And the cap is kind of olive. No orangey.
Yeah, I think you might want to check Gymnopolis sapinius.
Gymnopolis what?
Sapinius, S-A-P-I-N-E.
Oh, Sapineus?
Yeah, okay, that's probably the right way to say it.
Okay.
Sapineus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll check.
Yeah, it's a group. And there's a few other names that'll be thrown out, in relation to that one.
Somebody's asking what are clamps. You want to explain, Dave? Can you show one of the
Marisol, I think you should explain that because my microscope is not good enough to see clamps.
Okay, next one. Okay, here on the right, he's pointing, there is like a protruding thing towards the right, and there is a septa inside the pipe, the tube, the hypha. Can you point to that? Look.
Septa is the wall between the cells.
I'm trying to explain.
No, I'm just saying your clamp is between the two cells, but the septa is the actual wall between the two cells, and the clamp goes around it.
Yeah, the clamp is the little oval thing.
The septum is inside. The clamp is on the outside.
Yeah, the clamp's on the outside there, right? Like attached to where the septa is.
The septum is a partition,
Septum,
the septum is a partition between cells, and the clamp is like a structure that sort of secures that whole thing on the outside, like a lock. Yeah.
No, I don't agree. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't agree, but it has the impression of that. I'm not saying it's structurally it's what it does. I'm saying it just gives an impression of something which connects two things together and secures them.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it's doing. That's why they call them clamps.
May I say it, please?
Sure.
All right. So the septa and the clam have relation. So the septa is the division between two cells, and the clam is like the controlling faucet. If I can say that, I don't know what is the name of the faucet, and in Spanish it's a key. So it
Valve.
a valve. Oh yes, that's the perfect word. So the clam is like a valve that allows the pass of nutrients in an orderly fashion from one cell to the other cell in a small amount.
So it's a bypass. That's what this is.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The septa is supposed to be porous. Why would it develop a bypass?
What did you say?
The separation between cells is supposed to be porous and also regulate the flow of nutrients across the membrane. Why would evolution develop the bypass?
I don't know. And the thing is that some mushrooms don't have it. And sometimes it's what established a species. One has the clams and one doesn't have it. So there must be another way of passing the nutrients, because some of them don't have clams. That's a tricky question. I don't know that.
Marcel, it says if it's at the Gymnopus Populinus, it looks like you can put KOH and it will turn red and then black.
Oh, but it's too late now because the thing was falling apart, so I have to dry it quick.
If you see it again.
Yeah, I saw one single thing. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so when we went to Green Turtle, a boy named Max, he gave me this puffball at the end. The photo is pretty bad, but it was white and pink. You cannot see the pink tone, but I was surprised when Jonathan Mac M helped me to find the name, because it was pink and the species name is Roseo or Rosea. The name is somewhere there on the observation. Clonostakis rosea. So it is parasitizing, I guess, a puffball. And I did the micro, and the spores are different size, as you can see in the photo. It's some kind of like a sexual stage, I guess. I don't really know too much. And it grows on a conidia that is verticillate and has these like arms kind of sticking up, and the spores or the conidiophores grow at the tip of these tips, if I can say, these arms. I don't have the right words for that. And I thought it was a crust when I got it, because it really looked like a white layer covering the puffball. And it has this hypha with septa, with simple septa. And more of that verticillate structure. You can see that it's developing some of the spores at the tips.
Looks like finger.
Yeah, like a bird's foot.
Yeah, foot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that.
So that's the puffball.
That's it.
Right.
Is that interior, that dark interior?
Yeah,
is that spore mass that's mature, or is that like a fairly hard context that you have to put a little pressure on the knife to cut through?
This is a puffball.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it might be a scleroderma.
Oh, it could be. We found like 3 or 4 kinds of scleroderma there.
Yes, scleroderma differs from true puffballs mainly in that the context is more dense and it's a little bit more difficult to pass a knife through it, or sometimes you'll pass a knife through a little bit and it just breaks in half.
Oh, and
But-
but you know, maybe because this one was being parasitized.
Yeah,
and
that's what it looks like
wasn't
to
in good
me.
shape. So when I
Yeah.
cut it, it was kind of a spongy a little bit. But you can see that the skin is thick. So it could be scleroderma.
Yeah, that's what this looks like to me, a scleroderma that's being colonized by a hypomyces or some other sort of parasitic fungus.
Clonostatis rosea. Yeah.
This stuff.
Oh, that stuff. Right. Oh, there you go.
I thought it was a hypomyces, but no.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, there's your guy, Jonathan Mack.
Yep.
Cool.
And then he knows somebody else, there, Keith
Oh, yeah.
Seifert. He seems to be an expert for those little things too.
Yeah. And a good example of some people being able to jump in and help you on these sites. Nice.
Okay, this one was something that I found. It was so beautiful. It was growing on the stipe of a rusula. One of these rusula that has this short stipe, I don't know the name. I could not remember. And when I saw it, I didn't recognize that because I thought it was Syzygites, but it was too short. And the color was wrong too, because that's the real color, kind of orangey pale. When I did the micro, it's a beautiful thing. It looks like a miniature palm tree. Can you show, please? All right, so it looks like a miniature pine tree, and these conidiophores are growing on the top, as you can see. And the conidia is really thick. It's like a monster when you measure it and you see it in the microscope. So this is like 100x. So if you show the other photos, you see the more magnification. So here is one immature. It didn't develop the conidiophores yet. It's just shooting these like fingers, like structures. And those are the chains of conidiophores. You can see many of them connected or developing, I would say, the other spores. And here is the top of that structure that I call a palm tree. And you can see how beautiful the part that is not the conidiophore, it was transparent. It didn't get stained too much as the conidiophore itself. And you can see the septa where the conidia is going to separate from that. So this is the conidia, is so thick. It was 20.9 to 37 wide. It was humongous. For the things that I look at the microscope, this thing was like a monster. Here is another immature. It almost looks like the legs of an insect. And the size is very varied of the conidiophores, as you can see in the photo. And I also saw these structures before them, when the conidia is immature, it has these like pads, almost like pads before it develops the arms and then later the conidiophores. You can see down on the lower left. There is a group in Facebook that is called parasites, mushroom, fungi parasites, something like that, and they didn't have this name. So one more name, Amblyiosporium spongiosum. And Jonathan Mack helped me also. I lost my camera in a park in our last foray, and I came back to look for it again and it couldn't find it. But I found several mushrooms. I couldn't help myself to look for mushrooms. And when I was in the area looking for the camera, there are many mature trees in there, many beech and oak. There were these two little LBM mushrooms growing at the base of a giant, probably oak. And it caught my attention because they were scaly. And when I look on the gills, they remind me of Satirella species because I did few of them last year. And then I took it home. And boy, when I did the spores, I was like, what? The spores were ornamented. They were nodulose, not nodulose, nodulose. It has cystidia on the side of the gill, scars, not too abundant on the side of the gill. And this one is on top of, no, I'm so sorry, on the edge of the gill is so crowded that you could not see basidia. I was surprised of seeing that because when you look at with the lens on this edge of the gill, it looked like sugar. It looked like sugar. So yeah, it was really crowded with this type of cystidia. One more, I think this is from the side of the gill. And I have details about the spores in a minute. Oh, no more of that more. Okay, sorry. Oh, I didn't put the spores?
Last one.
Oh, geez, I didn't put the, oh, okay. So I made this photo blurry just to notice the ornamentation. So it has the shape of like a Satirella spore, but it's verrucose. No, what's the name of the, we'll just call this verrucose. Dave, are you there?
Looks like he's asleep.
Oh, he's
So I fell asleep. Thanks for waking me up.
Would you call this?
Yeah, I was up really late last night. Anyway, yes, Lacri Maria, or Lacri mabunda is the new species name for Lacri Maria velutina, which used to be Sathirella velutina. And there's a couple of other species of Lacri Maria that are fairly difficult to separate from the typical Lacri mabunda.
Okay. Yeah, but I think this is the only one that has the ornamentation.
No, I think they all do. The
You
spores.
don't have the ornamentation?
I'm not sure. I think that's one of the characters that separates that genus out.
Oh, geez.
I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Okay, because I went to the mushroom expert and I found this information about him. It's the only one that has verrucose.
You know what? Go check out Champignon du Quebec. They have a few other species of Lacri Maria there. There's like two other ones. They're very similar. They're hard to distinguish from the typical Lacri mabunda.
Okay. And the last one is this one. I do not know. I don't know too many rows, but they are interesting because the spores are always so huge. So I took this leaf to wrap one of my crosses, and when I came home, I noticed that there were some black spots on it. And then I did the micro on it, and oh my gosh, the things that were inside. So each spot is bleached inside, and it has black setae, and this is what it was like a fairy ring of black setae. So I saw that in there. Behind it is a little blurry, is the conidia producing the conidiophores, but you will see that in another photo. But it was so interesting that there were like by twos. This was another structure that I found on these bleached spots on the leaf, and it didn't look like the other one, but I just have no clue. This is the conidiophore, look like an egg. And also at the base, on the bleached part of the leaf, there were these finger-like structures, two phalanges, one on top of each other. That's one of the conidiophores with like a long apiculus, the one on the lower part. this is the setae, and underneath the finger structures that I am trying to tell you, this is like 100 or 40x. This is that structure. It looks like a rosette, and it's really different from the other brown setae, but it was very interesting. And it was coming from the same structures as the brown setae, and it has the same conidia. So that's the whole thing in there. This is in, oh no, it's in Congo, yeah. You can see where the conidiophores are produced in the back. That's at the tip of that conidia. This shows that the fingers that I was trying to take, it looks like the phalanges from our fingers. Two of them forming like a bleached spot on the leaf. That's like 100, yeah, 100x or 40x, I'm not sure. And here more of that setae with more of the conidia producing the conidiophores. And I have no idea what it is, but it's a rust. But that's all I know, and I don't know who to ask about it.
All right, cool.
All right.
Thanks, Maricel.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Raz Lowen.
Okay, we got 4 more people to get through. 20 minutes. So we're gonna have to, I have a few here. These are from, I'll go quick with these. These are from Montgomery County from this weekend. So I don't have a lot of pictures of any of this stuff. So these are Sporasis spathulata.
How do you cook those, Luke?
Well, I spent a lot of time cleaning this one, and then I just saw, I was camping, so it literally got sauteed up with ramp salt and butter.
Okay.
And they were a little tough, but man, they were tasty. Honestly, I don't find them enough to have a lot of experience with them.
I hardly ever find them. Yeah, I was wondering if you had a preparation suggestion. I've always wanted to find a really nice one and prepare it like tripe, like Italian sort of preparation for tripe.
Yeah. That would probably be good because they are a little on the tough side.
Yeah.
You know, cook it like long, like in a soup. Like, what was that tripe soup? That Portuguese soup? Anyway, I'm digressing. Anyway, that was a fun find. That was at the base of a really, really decayed tree. Unfortunately, when you find them in those decayed trees, it also has a lot of this like woody debris down in there that takes a lot to clean them. But what else are you going to do when you're camping, right? Okay. So I thought this one was interesting. It's like Ganoderma curticii. So we were looking at somebody's earlier today that was not formed, but this is another one that I found, and it just caught my eye because of the actual growth, the stipe, just not like super uncommon, because sometimes you find these and they're completely sessile, like no stipe at all. They're growing out of the sides of a tree as a bracket, but like this is growing out of the ground, out of a root. And this pretty, really well-defined stipe. Then it has all these caps. It had 4 caps, kind of all growing out like a 4-leaf clover.
Seems unusual.
Yeah, it's always kind of an unusual growth. I don't have any pore shots because I didn't want to pull it up. I didn't feel like ripping it up for just another pore shot of a curticii. But it was growing out of hardwood. You see there's some either Radiolomyces or what is that, Sarcodontia? One of those growing in the background all over the tree.
Marius, could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Okay, this was a pretty intense find, this Amphilotus illudens, because it was a huge flush and I could see it from 30, 40 yards up the tree. I could just see the brilliant orange because it was, radiating through the leaves because it must have been like, it was completely encircling a tree and it must have been 10, 12 feet wide and they were big. We'll see that in a minute. So these are the jack-o'-lanterns. So there were patches like this all completely surrounding this tree that was up there. I took some pictures trying to get look of it, in a broader sense, but they just didn't really do it justice, but they were big. These are my hands. I'm a pretty big guy. These are my hands are fairly large. So these caps are as big as my palm.
Did it glow, Luke?
I didn't try to make it glow because they're old,
Yeah.
older. I have seen them glow before, the young ones. I've taken them home. This was middle of the day though, but they were, brilliantly orange like this.
Looks like it was a wet day.
Yeah, it was a rainy weekend. So here are the gills. This is what people always want to see with these jack-o'-lanterns, the gills that run down the stipe. People confuse these with chanterelles. That's the interest here. As you can see, these are really well-defined gills. People confuse these with chanterelles, and they will make you sick.
If you cut through one of these, the internal context has a marbled appearance. It'll be like orange and white marbled sort of appearance, as opposed to a mainly solid white inside a chanterelle, except for sometimes the pigment bleeds in from the surface of a chanterelle if the weather's really wet. But that's another way, another thing to try to tell the difference.
They were beautiful. Like I said, I could see them from way up the trail.
Always fun to find those.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Microporous Populinus. This is one they used to call Oxyporous Populinus. We always find it growing at the base of maple trees. So the really tough, leathery brackets. I guess I could have put a clearer picture and look at this really closely. But this is growing right out of the buttress roots of a maple. Like super, super tough, leathery brackets. The underside, these pores are medium-sized pores. You cut them in half, the cross-section on them is pretty interesting looking. Perennial growth. So you can see this bracket has been growing for at least two growing cycles, whatever that is. You can see the older pores there, and then the fresher, whiter pores underneath of it. So this is pretty easy to identify for these white polypores, the growth habit, this perennial nature of them.
What is this one called again, Luke?
This is called Microporous Populinus. So in older books, you might see it called Oxyporous. And this one, you can see, you see the moss growing on it. That's like another telltale of it. It often is mossy, often much more mossy than this, or algae. I don't know what that is, if it's moss or algae. Oh, you can see on the, look at this. You see some frass on there on this side. This is an insect boring into it and eating it. And that's the insect poop. Comes out these little curly cues. You find that on these polypores a lot. Okay, and the last one that I found, a really, really nice Fistulina hepatica growing out of an oak.
Oh.
The beefsteak polypore. So look at the texture on that. So here's a cross section of it. So the bottom down here, the bottom are the actual tubes. And then you can see the context, which is really kind of interestingly marbled. And then the top, especially up here, you can see where it's kind of gelatinous, which is often, noticeable on the fresh specimens. Are kind of gelatinous on the top and kind of livery-like.
Did you eat it?
I didn't. I tasted it and it was kind of bitter.
Yeah, they're tricky to cook from what I hear. Bob Hosh used to prepare these so they were edible.
I just found that cauliflower mushroom, so I had better options.
Yeah, that's true.
So
this is the only kind of wild mushroom that I've ever eaten raw.
Yeah.
And I found one high enough up on a tree that I figured it wasn't subjected to too much woodland creature damage. And yeah, they're not really bitter. They're kind of sour. They're kind of like acidic.
Yeah,
like
no, this one,
lemony kind of.
Yeah,
They're
this
very
one,
good in salad, actually.
Yeah, this one was bitter because I have eaten these plenty of times. And
Oh, okay.
but this one actually was bitter, like maybe tannic. Maybe it was just it sucked up too much tannin from the oak or something.
Somebody told me once, not too long ago, really, that these make a good addition into to have along with sushi.
Oh, huh. Neat. So you can see the pores do they stain. And it's kind of a misnomer because they're not really pores. Fortunately, my camera did not pick up a really good photograph. They're actually little teeny tiny cups. They're in the same family as Schizophilum, I'm pretty sure. So Schizophilum have like those like elongated cup-like structures that are underneath that open and close. And if you ever look at a fistulina really, really closely, they kind of have more the appearance of little teeny tiny cups. They're all packed together.
This is not staining. You're just damaging the tissue and it gets darker.
Yeah, bruising.
No, it's not bruising, really. It's just an optical effect. When you just damage the surface, I think it just turns darker.
Okay, so I guess
it's called bruising. You know what I mean? Even if it is what you're saying, it still shows an effect visually.
Yeah, because even you look where my fingers touched it, whether it's I guess whether it's truly a bruise or not. I mean, it's still a good diagnostic feature because it's going to happen.
The one really good feature to go by is you can tear the hymenium apart into like little straw-like things or little cup-like things. I guess they separate. You can separate them.
Right, which separates it from things like in the polyporales and all that. Yeah. All right, that's my 5. So, let's see here. Anita, you with us?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here. Hey, everybody. I'm a newbie too. This is my first time joining one of these sessions. In fact, I became a member last week after I observed a bunch of mushrooms growing in my front yard in the house that we recently moved into. So I'm somewhat overwhelmed by the amount of experts on this panel here. Yeah, I thought I'll get started with like what's growing in my front yard. And after the rain, I noticed a whole bunch of these mushrooms sprouting all over my front yard. Nothing in my backyard, just the front yard, which is like west facing. And I still see them after all the heat today. And I was not quite sure if I did some research to try and get names for these, but I think there were way too many names and I was not really able to identify the species that these mushrooms belong to.
That's a tough one to start with. I assume it was on a grass lawn.
Yep.
Uh-huh. And it looked like it was kind of a black, a brownish dark spore print.
Yep, I took the spore prints for both of these, and the spore print for this one was definitely brownish black, and more black than brown even. And
Yeah, I think this might be a species of Panaeolus. The gills appear to have white margins. I think that's a trait of at least 1 or 2 Panaeolus species. Really dark spore print, which should be pure black, except for 1 species of Panaeolus. And I don't think these are Panaeolus phoenisecii, which the spore print would be very, very dark purple brown. But I think these are another species of Panaeolus, black print. And some of them have partial veils and some of them don't. I don't know what to call this species. It's not. I don't think it's phoenisecii. I don't think it's Cinctulus. Yeah, I'd have to do some reading up on Panaeolus, but I think that's what it is.
are these like poisonous?
I don't think they're,
That's, excuse me?
she asked if they're poisonous. I said, I don't think they're recommended to eat.
Nah, Paniolis are not recommended as food.
Yeah, we don't eat like we are very particular about stuff, but my spouse was like very concerned about even touching them. I just
Oh, he should feel safe touching them. They're not going to poison him by touching them, but we wouldn't suggest eating them.
okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah, you can handle mushrooms. It's probably a good idea to wash your hands after you do so, but handling them will not hurt you.
May I ask, are these the same mushrooms, young and old? Is that the consensus?
I don't think so.
Or we got two different species here?
But the ones that are lighter colored might be Conocybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're the same.
Conocybe apala, those are deadly poisonous.
Yeah, if eaten in large enough quantity, they cause problems.
Wow.
No, you just die. They just don't cause problems. You just die.
Oh, you just die.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They have amatoxins in them.
Now,
Is
if
that
you
the
have
second
any
one?
animals,
Oh, does Apala have amatoxin?
Yes.
Oh,
we
I didn't know
discussed this
that.
already.
Oh,
Is that
actually,
the
you know what? This
second
came up
one?
a few weeks ago, actually. Yeah, the older manuals didn't provide any warnings about Apala. You probably have to eat a lot of them before you accomplish a tipping point. But they might be the same. I mean, Paniolis can easily start out, with pale gills and a conical shape.
Okay, so there you go. Anitha, Igor did type in the name
Thank you.
Paniolis, but we probably can't get to a species.
Yeah, if the other ones are Conocybe, the spore print color will definitely be different. It'll be more of a cinnamon brown sort of color.
Okay, so let's get to Max, and then Dave, yours is last here, okay? We're running out of time. Max, we're gonna go through this real briefly, okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. So I only have one. So I was backpacking in New Hampshire. So sorry if that makes it more complicated. But I found this mushroom in kind of like a hardwood, really moist forest. And this is my guess for it. I'll send it in the chat. But we really weren't sure what it was. It had no distinct smell or odor. And we weren't exactly sure what the like black marks are. It kind of makes it look like a chocolate chip pancake, but we weren't sure. But it was covered in bugs, so it was a little old. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting one.
It's insect boreholes are the dark areas. What do you think, Igor? What kind of Lexinum do we have here?
This is not Orontiacum because that's exclusively European.
Right.
So this is found in mixed woods. There's probably aspen in there and birch and conifers. So who knows?
Yeah.
I just call it Oxylum sectional Oxynum. You can see the overhang, the sterile margins projecting from the edge of the cap. That's very typical of the section. It's actually archetypical of this section. Yeah, beyond that, you can already say anything. I don't think we can add this to species.
they've put it in Lexinum because of the details on the stem. Yeah, that's the best picture, Luke, of the little tiny scale-like structures that sort of point up. So that sort of tells you when it's fleshy with pores or tubes underneath, that puts it in the genus of bolete called Lexinum. And then, yeah, I agree. The black spots on the top are bug damage. They're kind of eating it while it's still standing, so to speak. But it would be tough to get any closer than that, partly because the condition is poor also.
Now, all these Lexinum from sectional Lexinum, they have either orange or brownish orange or brownish red caps. And they have multiple different kind of host trees, but with Lexinum, each species is actually a mycorrhizal specialist. One species is going to grow only with birch, The other ones are not going to grow with conifer. Only one species, which is the European Aurantiacum, is more promiscuous in that way. It grows with a variety of hardwoods, birch and aspen and poplar and other things. But here in the United States, taxonomy of this genus is, nobody knows what these things are. Species have been described, but they need to be studied by DNA. That's the only way to sort of separate them and consolidate species concepts, eliminate any duplicates that people have published before. Again, it's a easy genus and section to arrive at morphologically, but beyond that, it's extremely difficult to find what species are hidden inside that section.
All right. That fill you in there, Maximilian?
Yeah, it did. Thanks a lot.
All right.
More than that you want to know, probably. Too much information.
That was good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for sharing, man. All right, Dave, here we go.
Dave, unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to make a spelling correction, but it takes me forever to type anything. Okay, yeah, Canosabi Apollo was misspelled. I spelled it the right way. Anyway, so Igor, I didn't even realize I found this the other day. I thought it was just another like Boletus vermiculosoides thing. And I did take it home and I preserved it though. Actually, I didn't preserve it at first. I threw it onto the compost heap. And then I looked at the pictures and I realized this is not vermiculosoides. It has a fine reticulatum on the stipe, which is a little hard to see at first because the stipe is partially eaten by a slug or something. And actually when I sectioned it, it looked like sort of a little different than the vermiculosis or vermiculosoides would look. So I went and got it off the compost heap and put it in the dryer and I dried it out. It would have been better if I got it in there sooner, but the material appears to be all right. And I found another one as well. And I'll make another observation for the other one that I found. And I think this might be this species that was in the first Beset Polyp book that they called Boletus fagicola. But I measured spores on the other one, and they're kind of small they're smaller than what's reported for fagicola. Oh, so Igor, you already made a proposal here. I don't, this doesn't look like vermiculosoides to me.
It's variable. It's a variable species, and the ridging that you see at the top is not the true reticulum. So I think.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Well, it could be reticulated maybe at the apex. So.
Well, you can see where it comes down the stalk, but a lot of the stalk was eaten. But if you zoom on the third photo, I believe, you can see it a little better.
I saw that ridging. It's not true. It's not true reticulum. I think it can happen in any species. I've seen reticulation happening in species that don't have reticulations, by default.
Yeah, but it's coming down pretty far. It's not just at the apex.
There are lines. There are fine lines. That's not even a net. So I think this is just a variable vermiculosoides. Like I said, I've sequenced a lot of them, and they're all the same. They gave the same DNA.
Right.
So it's not the fagicola that you found before from a different park a few years ago that was sequenced.
No, this was found in the exact same area, in a beech oak area where the first one was found, and the other one was found across the road in beech. So
it's still possible.
Similar habitat.
It's still possible for vermiculosoides to grow at the same place.
Oh, of course, sure.
Yeah. So I mean that's my first guess.
Okay.
But next time if you submit it for sequencing, we can tell them apart because the other one, the cryptic species, was sequenced already, so we know what it is.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know the name, but we know what.
Right. That one was put into NAMP, and we got a sequence on that. Right. Very good. Yep.
Actually,
okay, so
it was Linus.
This is a Trichoglosum. It's got setae, which are these sort of brittle bristles on the entire fruit body, very small. I guess you can see them with a loop. I didn't bother to do that. I just scoped a little bit of material and I saw the setae under the scope. And so these appear to be Trichoglosum hirsutum, except for one thing, the spores are really way too small. I put this onto Facebook for Ascomycete fungi, and people seem to think it looks like Trichoglosum hirsutum, which I thought it did too, except the spores are too small. The spores are supposed to be like from 100 to 150 microns long, and the longest spore that I found is only about 80 microns long. So it's kind of interesting. And if anybody has a suggestion, it would be welcome. And it looks like the asci have more than 4 spores in them, but it's a little hard to tell. My microscope is not, I actually use 2 scopes. Neither one of them is like nearly as good as the thing Marisol uses. So I can't really tell, but I think probably, when I seem to see like 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 spores in an ascus, I'm guessing there's a few others hiding behind the ones that I'm seeing. That's one of the, what's the singular of setae anyway? Is it seatum? Does anybody know that? Well, this is one of the setae. It's this long, dark thing it comes to a point on one end. So that's the way you tell Trichoglosum from Geoglossum. Geoglossum does not have setae. So that was kind of interesting, I thought. You can move to the next one though. Because we'll try to get through this quickly. And so here's another interesting ASCO. So Renee Leboeuf came on to the Ascomycete Facebook page and had a very good suggestion. Pisiza, was it Atrovenosa? I think she suggested. And so I went on to Champignon du Quebec and I copy and pasted the description of the spores. And there's no picture of spores. It's Renee's picture of the fruit bodies on Champignon du Quebec. But the spores are described at least as far as the way Google Translate depicted it in English. It said the spores were smooth. And Renee said on Facebook that this species does not have smooth spores. It has ridges and a reticulatum, which is actually what I found on the spores. So I think this might be this Pisiza, was it Atrovenosa? But I'm wondering if there's actually a mistake on Champignon du Quebec in the description. Look at the spores there. And that's with my microscope that's really not that great and doesn't show a lot of detail. And you can still see they are really ridgy and wrinkled. And then there's another picture right toward the end where there's one spore. And also, these asci were very, very weakly amyloid near the apex. At first I couldn't even see a reaction. I mounted in melters, I couldn't see a reaction. And today I did it again and I used like extra melters. And finally I could see that the asci, with my better scope, I could see the asci were faintly blue on the tips. So that does say, that does support Pisiza. So anyway, it was an interesting one. We'll see what other sort of comments I get on the Facebook website. So I put it there also. What else do we have? Oh, here you go, Igor. Here's this one we found last week. This is a really interesting one, I think. Igor was with me when we found this, and he actually pointed out that you can't see it very well here, but the top of the cap has a tiny bit of a greenish hue, which is actually a trait of Lexinum holopus. But this one has a much darker cap than I would expect with Lexinum halopus. And I believe Lexinum halopus is in section Scabra, right? Is that correct, Igor? I think it is.
Yes, but this one is also section Scabra.
Yeah, this one is in section Scabra. I know. I'm just wondering, if we can eliminate Lexinum halopus from the discussion.
I don't
But I preserved this one.
This was found in a swampy area, so I sequenced halopus twice from New Jersey, and I think it's a European species, but we're finding here is probably a phylogeographic subset of a European halopus. The DNA is slightly different. It could be, a species in its own right, but you have to do some more sequencing. This one, if we sequence it, we'll probably get an answer. If we're going to get some kind of an answer, it's going to point in a certain direction. Okay, it may not give us a name, but at least we'll know if it's what it is not.
Yeah, and this was several hours after it was sectioned. Actually, I was getting ready to put it into the dryer, and I noticed the blue staining starting up on. You can see it in the one. You can see it in the near the apex of the stalk, and also in the base of the stalk, the blue staining.
Yeah,
the other one, there's another Lexinum on top, the top part of the picture. That's different. That's a different mushroom. They were just on the same plate.
Yeah, it's unusual for halopus to stain blue at the apex of the type.
Yes, I have not seen that.
But you never know.
I don't remember seeing it in halopus.
It's a post-mature specimen. It's in great shape for its age, but it is kind of old. So
yeah, it was not a young mushroom. You can see by how well developed the tube layer was, and the pores were pretty big, but it was in pretty good shape, as you point out. And the material looks pretty good dried out. Here you go, Susan. Look at this. Is a really nice one, maybe about 8 or 9 inches wide.
Sorry, I was moved. Yeah, I can see what it was before you even had the picture up. Yeah. Did you save it for somebody? Give it to.
I have it. You know what? I'm going to be in the Adirondacks in a month. I don't know if we're going to be up near the museum.
I have a lot of this, so I don't need this. But somebody in
you don't need it. I'll give it to Cheryl.
Yeah, give it to.
I'll give it to Cheryl Dawson. I think I have another one lying around here from last year as well.
We get a ton of it.
It's a really nice one.
Yeah, it's prolific here.
I have quite a bit of it myself. In fact, it's on my table now, Brian.
Oh, okay.
But it is an excellent dyer. And when you have more of it, you can experiment more with colors and different chemicals a little bit to get different colors on the yarn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good color with every mordant. So, and also that's not too old for still a good bright yellow.
Yeah, this one was not old. It was moist and felt. It just seemed like it was prime. And I was in this spot only a few weeks ago, and there was nothing there at that time. Maybe 2 weeks ago or so, 2-3 weeks ago, there was nothing there.
Yep. Well, I'm going to need to sign off, guys, because I have a mushroom walk tomorrow. That's kind of a big deal for me. So, you got a Hydenellum.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, don't leave too fast.
This is the very last one, Susan.
This sort of thing. I can go and get this. It's pretty big, actually. I don't know what kind of Hydenellum it is.
Now, it looks like Phelodon confluence, but do you have a picture of the underside?
Oh, Phelodon confluence.
Yeah, that's what this looks like to me. But you know
what? I didn't get any spore information. A spore print would have confirmed.
Yeah,
but this is not a coniferous area. This is
right.
A hardwood area.
Right, which would even more point to Phelodon confluence to me.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought that was a conifer species.
Yeah,
okay.
I would have said more deciduous.
Okay.
What we find in New Jersey. But this is another thing that's very, very variable. I've seen things like this that I would never even call that. But yeah, you really need a spore print on this.
Yeah, I know. I know, I didn't get it.
But-
So
but
many
that's good.
mushrooms, you know, I bring home so many mushrooms and some of them just get lost in the
Yeah, but
shuffle.
like you say, you know, the teeth look like they could go a little bit dark, but my guess offhand is Phelodon confluence.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of some kind of Hydenellum that looks like this and nothing
But
came to mind.
one of the clues, if you did take a piece of this, as it dries, it will still smell strongly of fenugreek or maple syrup. But you might,
It's Phelodon.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, when next time I'm at that spot, I'll grab some because it'll still be there.
That's
This
right.
isn't going anyplace.
yeah, yes, it will be there. All right,
Yeah.
last one, I gotta go.
All right.
Okay, that's it for me, I think.
Great. Yep, that's it for everybody.
All right.
We are done. And I do have to sign off tonight because I'm on a work computer. I'm still at work. So I have to sign off my work computer. Excuse me, I can't just leave it running all night. So I think with that, we're going to say goodnight to everyone, right? And we will see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Bye.